What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So right now I have already got the light bar already set up to the wind deflector of the Prinsu rack. I had some of it done yesterday, and then today it just fell apart. Like everything I tried to do, all the, like missing parts, missing tools, camera gear taking a dump, had the wrong screws. It's just one of those days that no matter how hard you try, it just implodes. Anyway, I'm gonna take a second because there's a truck coming. Okay, now goes the truck. All right, so yesterday I already went ahead and installed the light bar. I got all the hiccups and kinks out of it, but I want to show you guys what I did and what I was working on. So there's another car coming. This bracket right here initially was turned inwards and was facing underneath the light, but I had too long of bolts and I was having issues and it kept hitting this. So I just turned them outwards and put them in the channel. Now the light actually sits right where I need it to, and I can actually turn it so that when the wind deflector is like that, the light actually points straight out instead of up at an angle. But yep, went ahead and already mounted that up, got it centered. I actually used the center bolt on the light bar and lined it up with the center of the wind deflector for the Prinsu rack. I didn't have to measure anything. Now, if you want, you can use tape and put it on either sides, or measuring tape and a Sharpie and map it out. But I didn't want to. I saved myself some time. I got a pretty good eye. I can line stuff up. I attached the light bar to the rail using 3/4 inch carriage bolts. I probably recommend 1/2 inch carriage bolts if you're going to keep the brackets facing under the light, because what happened is the top of the bolt kept hitting the bottom of the light and it was just causing fitment issues. So just a heads up. I went with the corresponding washer and a locking nut, a nylon locking nut to go with it. I put one on each side. I was going to do two, but it just felt like overkill. And yeah, and that was that. And yeah, so the install onto the rail was pretty easy. I just popped the rail off of the Prinsu rack, took 2 bolts on each side, and mounted the bar to it. And over and done with. It was pretty quick. That part of the process only took me about 5 minutes. So day 3 of the install, just so many things. Anyway, getting into this real quick. So the wire, the plug from Heretic Studios comes in as a 12 gauge wire. I took 16 gauge wire per the information I got, and I had my neighbor help me solder these, and we went ahead and shrink wrapped them. I'll get you guys a little bit close up of what this looks like. But I've already got my wire cut to length. I'm going to run it down and I'm going to show you guys the install of it. I'll put a list of everything that I use, the tools and whatnot, so you guys can do or follow in the footsteps. I tried following some of the people online and they don't ever really show the install. Or they've got a power tray that's got all the breakers and everything set up. I'm going to show you guys what to do if you don't have all that stuff set up and you're like me. They don't make a whole lot of power trays for the F-150 that I've found, so we're going to try to see how that goes. But one of the things I want to point out in this, disconnect the positive terminal of your battery so you don't electrocute yourself when you're playing with wires, because the last thing you want to do is get electrocuted by a car battery. It hurts, and if in the right circumstance, it'll kill you. So always important, disconnect your battery before you start plugging at any of these wires.
So I lost a whole bunch of audio and some camera angles, so you guys get a wonderful voiceover. So I had my dad give me a hand putting the shroud back up. I went ahead and mounted the light bar up top. Everything was pretty easy except for those 2 screws right there behind the awning. It's just, you had to be able to get your hand in there. There's my son. He wanted me to remind you guys, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications, and share the videos as much as possible. See, there he is. Yeah, like I was saying, had a bunch of footage. One of my cameras went down. Both of my mics died. And it was one of those days. It actually turned it into a 3-day adventure. Just a quick reminder, you guys, make sure you unplug your batteries. Just disconnect the terminals. You do not want to get electrocuted by a car battery. It sucks. And those are the wires I'm going to be connecting up to the Switch Pro. Position 5, one of the 35 amp. Watt amp. I don't remember. I got to look it up. I'll put it on the screen. Now, for the harness, I actually ran the wires through the bolt for the roof rack where it connects to the cab, and ran the wires down behind this weather stripping on the windshield. It turned out pretty good. There's a ton of space back there. It was 2 16 gauge wires that I tucked in there, but probably could have fit 12, maybe even 14 gauge wires back there. I was originally thinking about punching holes in the roof, but I was like, nah, dude, there's got to be a better way. And I discovered that there is a weather strip there that wasn't like permanently attached to the window. I was thinking about using like a bead, a flex seal or something, but I ended up not needing that. And the cables went in there pretty easy. I didn't even need this little tool that I got. My wife got this from some auto detailing kit for free from Amazon. Works out pretty good. Tucking them in. All I'm doing is just pushing the rubber back and using the tool to push the wire down in there. I thought this was actually going to be one of the difficult parts of it, but it's pretty easy. When I ran the wires, I pretty much just followed where the ditch light wires were, right behind the fender, just underneath the hood hinge. I actually run them through the little hole right there in the fender where my hand was at. I want to get a power tray so I can mount the terminal block, the grounding block, the fuse block, and the switch and everything on there, so that it's all in one central location. When I want to hook stuff, I don't have to run wires down here and run a ground over there. It's all just in one central place. Problem is that nobody really makes one for the F-150. Found a company that would do it. It's just, yeah, I'm trying to find one that's already there so I don't have to wait that ridiculous time. It's like 5 months because they're backed up. It'd be worth it just to start the process and get one, but I still actually have to draw it out. You know, when you're cutting your wires, measure like 4 or 5 times because you don't want to end up with too short of a wire. Like if you need 6 inches, just give yourself 9. That way you can tug on it and stretch it, and when you need to, you can tuck it away. When it comes to cable management, you want to have just enough slack to hide it, but not enough that you're hiding a bunch of wire. The other thing is getting the right tools for the job. You can use your teeth or a pair of pliers to strip the wire, but having wire strippers just makes the job that much easier. If you use the right channel on there, you can guarantee that it most likely won't cut the wire, just the sheath. And that's just better. That way you don't have to keep trimming off pieces of wire. And then get yourself a set of crimpers and a good heat gun so when you're doing your shrink wraps. So the connectors I used actually were shrink wrap connectors. I didn't realize it, so I put a shrink wrap sheath over it. And once I realized it, I shrink wrap the connectors, and then I put the actual shrink wrap over it. So it's got 2 layers of shrink wrap on it. And yeah, it's pretty weatherproof. Coming up with that cable management, Bud would be so proud. Little tucky tuck. Sometimes you just gotta tuck it away to feel better. Anyway, got everything wired up. Doing this on my own gave me just tons of confidence. I was really dreading having to do the electrical and do the wiring because I didn't want to screw something up or fry something. But once I got the first wire done, it was easy. And I actually did another project shortly after this when I installed my radio, and I was not uncomfortable at any which point. So the experience definitely helps. So once I got everything, I went out and tested it, found a nice dark little spot. And there's my low beams, my high beams. I never adjusted my headlights after I put my lift on. I gotta adjust them. But right there is my light bar, and I'm pretty sure it's a combo spot and flood just because of how much flood there is with this light. I gotta aim it back up. I actually aimed it back down. This is actually on a slope. It's not straight ahead. It's down a hill. And there's the pod lights, my ditch lights. I use those quite a bit, especially driving around my house at night. I want to make sure that I can see all the deer that are coming through because I've almost hit 2 or 3 deer. If I wouldn't have had those lights, I wouldn't have been able to see them. That's a wrap for the install. If you guys have any comments or questions, go ahead and drop them in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up and give it a share. Now, if you're into this type of content, before you go, head on over to the channel, check out some of our other videos. And while you're there, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Until the next one, you guys, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you around.